executive coach and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dared to desire.
Dr. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me again today. I am super excited for today's show. How are you doing?
I am hunky and dory, and today's going to be so much fun.
Yes, we have a special guest coming on. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Wayne Seminoff. How are you, my friend?
Hello, it's Wayne here. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, buongiorno. It's a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us on our show. We are super excited for you to be on Business Prowess. So we have so much to learn from you, and I am just going to take a bunch of notes, and I hope everybody listening will do the same. So you have, and you look amazing for 400 years old, and I want to be like you when I grow up.
So Sifu is making this giggle moment, but Wayne is actually in his 80s, and he is just absolutely a handsome man. Yes, he has aged
That's
well.
right. So I have my remarkable. I'm ready to take notes, and where do we start?
Well, Wayne doesn't have a filter on, just so you guys know. This is what he actually looks like. So he's really just naturally handsome.
I love it.
No filters, no filters.
Flattery will get you everything. Yeah.
So speaking about a person who can get everything. Oh, Wayne, can we have you speak a little closer to the mic? Your volume's just a little low.
Sure.
Why don't you start off by telling people, why I thought that you should be a great fit for this show if we're going to be revealing business secrets today.
All right. Basically, what my program is I've got 80 years of extraordinarily good real estate experience on how to beat the system in real estate. What I can do, my lead in is I can take $1,000, buy a lot, and sell it for $400,000. Wow. That's my lead in. That's what I do. And I do it over and over and over. It's not a one-off thing. I can perform miracles in real estate that nobody else knows how to do. And I've done it by, my whole approach is go to the back door, not the front door when you're doing stuff. Everybody goes in the front door, gets beat up and gets the shit kicked out of them. Okay. As you go in the back door, they find all the golden nuggets. And I started this 50 years ago now. I started buying junk real estate because I didn't have enough money to buy anything. I was a poor kid, and all I could scrape up was maybe $100 or $200 or whatever. In those days, you could buy a lot for $100 at the tax sale. And I went in and not knowing anything about real estate, I just started buying them and just tried to figure out how to make them buildable. You could buy a lot for $100. I mean, how can you lose? And then I found that there's about 10 tricks that you can do to fix junk real estate to make it dramatically more valuable. And I try and target lots that are in expensive neighborhoods where the lots are worth 400, 500. I have some lots are in $1 million lot areas. So if you can take your lot that you buy cheap, nowadays I pay about $1,000 for a lot. If you can take your $1,000 lot and fix one of the things that makes it buildable, there's 7 ways. You have something that you could sell for $1 million or a fire sale at $500,000. So you can make a dramatic amount of money on this, and it's teachable. And what I did is I did a video program. I tried to get it out of my brain out into words, and I did a bunch of videos that detailed this stuff. And the reason I'm doing the show is because I want to get this information out and have people look at the video and see if they like it and if they can use it.
So Wayne, so Sifu, so having, I'm kind of jumping in and leading since I already know Wayne.
Right.
So for everybody who's seen business prowess before, you know that Sifu is normally the lead person, but I'm kind of jumping in today. So Sifu, when you decided, like, let's, have a program about business secrets, and I introduced you to Wayne, what was your thoughts of what we might hear today and what might happen?
Well, one of the things that we have to consider when we think about business secrets is there really are no secrets. It's just things that people are doing that we may not be doing. Sometimes it's so easy, sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes we're not even preview of it. So having someone like Wayne on the show to say, hey, I have 10 secrets that I can share with you, and he's got videos and stuff of that nature. That's incredible. My question to you, Wayne, you talked about $1,000 for a lot in $1 million neighborhood. How do I find that? How do I find that? Little old me, I'm in Long Island. I got places where the cheapest home in Long Island is probably 369, 379. And then
Yeah.
we're going to multi-million dollars, 50 million and so forth here in the same island, right? So how do I, if I drive down the block and I start hitting into the $1 million homes, and if I drive the other way, I'm hitting the $369,000 homes.
Right.
So I want to drive north, right? I want to go towards the lot with $1 million, but I can buy a lot like that for 1,000 in today's market.
Yes, you can. And this is how it works: is they're called junk lots. And let's say you're in the multi-million-dollar neighborhood, and they did some boundary line. They did some when they created the lots. Sometimes there's a remnant lot left over, like when they did a whole block. Let's say they did 10 houses on a block, and then there was a goofy little part that was kind of sloped or wet or something that they excluded from the plat of where they put the houses. So that little piece sits there, and nobody ever built on it because it was too small, too goofy. So when they first did it, it was real garbage and nobody wanted it.
Right.
But now it's golden garbage. Okay. So now it's a hidden nugget. So what you do is, and this, what happens is there's usually an association or people that own this property, and after 20 years it's been sitting there, they decide they don't want it. They're paying taxes on it. That's how they do it here. They tax every parcel. So if they don't pay their tax, they let it goes in the tax sale, and they just give it away, and this way they don't have to pay tax on it.
Got it.
And so I don't know if you have the same system in New York, but
we do.
Okay, so that goes in the tax sale, and then so you go to the tax sale and you look for everything in the expensive neighborhood that's available, and you see this goofy little triangle. Let's say it's 1,500 square feet. Just a little, or 1,000, even 1,000 square feet lot. That's goofy. There's something wrong with it. It's wet, slope, and then you go to the cities and you find out what rules they have to make that lot buildable. And there are certain rules. There's like 7 rules. And one valuable rule is that they say, well, the lots normally in that area are like, say, 5,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet. This lot is only, like 2, let's say. You can get a variance to build on a 2,000 square foot lot in almost any neighborhood by just asking the cities for a variance. It's not too hard of a process. And see, once you get the variance, then your lot is buildable. And then you've got a lot that you can sell. And maybe it's not worth $1 million, but maybe it's worth $500,000.
Yeah.
And see, it's a junk lot. So it's not the best lot, but $500,000 for $1,000, and to do the variance, it probably costs you maybe 3 or 4 or 5,000, maybe, in expenses. You got to do a survey, right, and, do this other, things like that. And then it's just a killer way to do it. That's just one way. Another way is, let's say the house right next to this goofy little lot has a giant lot. His lot is like a lot and a half.
Right.
but you can only build one house there. So you can do what they call a boundary line adjustment. You can take the line that exists on this baby lot and slide it over, build it so it's big enough, and take a bite out of this other guy's place. And then you have a legal buildable multi-million-dollar site right there, right next to the his old house. And how I approach those is I go to the guy next door and I say, hey, if I can create another lot in your backyard and sell it for $1 million, would you give me half of that money? And that's my approach. And they do. And I'll give you $500,000 if you let me do my song and dance in your backyard.
Wow.
And
that's beautiful.
That's another one of my little tricks. But my tricks are golden. They're magic because I create a lot out of nothing. So you pick this piece of junk and it's completely useless. And I create this gorgeous, beautiful lot out of nothing. And those are just two of the tricks.
Sifu, I'm laughing because the background that you have today for the show.
I was just going to say that.
Because it's like gold glitter coming down around Wayne and so forth. We do want to have a disclaimer here. So for Wayne and for us here for Business Prowess that, you know, results for Wayne himself. And what he has done tremendous job and he's done it over and over again. But for other people, results aren't typical. You know, people have to do the things. They have to do the work. They have to do the research. They have to follow through. They have to ask for the variances. They have to, you know, they have to do work. So it's not magic. It's not a get rich quick overnight. You know, this is something that you have to learn and you have to do and you have to follow through, and the possibilities are there. So it is not a guarantee by any means. So we just want to do a little disclaimer there for you, Wayne.
That's a great disclaimer, and those are little stars of magic dust coming up. And there may be. I didn't put that on. I'm kidding, of course. I think Wayne just brought that on automatically.
He brings it on.
Mike Green wants to know where you live, Wayne. I think he wants to be your neighbor.
Well, hi, Mike Green. So Wayne resides in Washington State. So that is where you hail from. And then you travel as well, Wayne. So I know Wayne gets around a little bit. So that's quite amazing. You know, Sifu, what else can we be sharing along to support with this? Like, you know, as you're listening, let's give some of our business secrets to add and supplement onto this so that we're, you know, making this full rounded.
Sure. I think that one of the things, and we want to talk about the fact that we even needed to communicate in order to make this show happen. We needed to get the emails out. We needed to create the thumbnail, create the StreamYard. So I believe communication is a huge aspect of business. And Wayne could not do what he does. He could not go and get all these tax sales and everything if he did not communicate his interest. So I think communication is a big caveat to all that we do in business. And I think communication is a key ingredient that a lot of people are not well versed in. But obviously Wayne is, right? Because he has communicated and he has videos on how to do what he does. And once again, you said his results may not be identical to yours. Hey, you never know. They may be better. I'm not putting you down, Wayne. I'm just saying that you're such a good teacher that what you want to do as a teacher is make your students better than you. Am I correct or not?
Thank you.
You know, part of the communication piece, I want to give a little shout out to AJ Poyden as well. AJ Poyden is the reason Wayne and AJ know each other, and AJ and I have worked together for years, and we were best friends and we're clients of each other. And so that's how I met Wayne and how this all came about for us to be connected. And of course, Sifu Raphael and I are connected because of Jose. I just said his name wrong. I was looking at something else, and I am a phonetic person. I saw a letter R in something as I was, so I added that, changed his name to Jorge. His name is not Jorge. It's Jose. And for to be able to be connected through other people, you know, that you're right. When people don't voice the need for a connection, and they're not putting out that information so that people can make the connections of those dots on how we can make those things happen, and through our connections, they often are kept secret. Not everybody shares who they know and what they know, and that then limits the ability for people to progress and make things happen quicker. So, and then another side secret of this is, so in helping Wayne get the word out for this, you know, just by listening, hadn't even listened to all of his videos yet when I found out about some things to follow up with, based on what he had suggested. And so within 2 days of seeing the beginning intro video, I had purchased properties following Wayne's system that were multiple times worth what I purchased for them.
Tell them how much you paid for them. Tell them how much you paid for them.
Okay, I will. So the one I paid $50 for, and the other two I paid $100 a piece.
And she bought a gas station.
I bought an old gas station lot, commercial property lot for $100
in her backyard. In her backyard.
In my literally down the street. So you know, it's been and there's learning with all of these things. So in full transparency, so now my lot has value on top of it, but it also has some remedial cleanup things that I've learned about. So now I'm in the world of how do you clean up, you know, because my lot, I was told that they had no gas tanks in it, and they actually are still there. And so now I'm in a world and like, what do we do with that, and what's possible to us? So I've been putting out feelers and information. I have a friend of mine who has a friend who owns 300 gas stations. He's letting me know what the possibilities are. I'm reaching out to other gas stations thinking, well, it was a gas station. Maybe a gas station would like to come back. And in the meantime, what can I do with the property without breaking the ground? Because it's breaking the ground that would create an issue, you know, a possible issue. So if we're on top of it, what can we do? I know right now I have a friend who's putting political signs on it. So, you know, she reached out to me and we talked and set that up so she could have some political signs because she's running for office. So, you know, there's always ways to vitalize whatever it is, whatever property you're on, to make things possible to you. And that's one of the things that Wayne shares so much is wait, Andrea Coffee Shop is what Mike's suggesting. Well, I been reaching out to those companies as well, because it is a commercial lot at a 5-way light. So that would be a great place to have a little drive-through coffee shop, a little kiosk place. It would be great. So Wayne, it's your creativity that has allowed you to do all of this. What even drove you to even think that you should buy real estate, you know, 50 years ago when you only had $100 in your pocket?
Yeah, it was, I got into the real estate business by accident. I just graduated from college. I got a master's degree. Couldn't get hired by anybody. And then, so I went to the University of Washington bulletin board and looked for jobs. And there's little card on there that says, need a real estate expert consultant for a company, you know, call me. And I go, what the hell? You know, I was desperate. So I call them. It's owned by one of the owners of ITT in New York City. They owned a whole real estate company out here. And they want to send me their eyes and ears out there and evaluate what the value of the whole company was. It's a great big company. So I said, okay. So I answered the ad, and they said they wanted X amount of dollars. And I said, I want 2X. And they said, okay, you're the only guy that answered the ad. You're hired, and you got 2X. So and my first job, it was something like I was making $100,000 a year in 1970, which is, you know, equivalent to like 400,000 a year today. And it was extraordinary. And I learned real estate from the ground up there because I had no knowledge of it. But I went in, and I'm really a good researcher, and I learned everything about real estate. I mean, I studied down to the grassroots of how real estate's created, how deeds are created. I know, and I really know a lot about real estate now. I mean, and I became really, really good at it. I mean, I know a lot. And now I'm at now that I'm 80, I don't want this knowledge to go away. So what I decided to do is I want to give it out there, and I want to teach young people how to make lots of money in real estate. But I want to do it as a gift, because it's not that hard. And most young people are dead end jobs. They can't pay their bills like I used to do. And you can keep your job, and you can go out and buy a couple pieces like Andrea just did, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and then play with it and see if you can make some money off it. And if you can do one, then maybe you can do two. And if you do two, maybe you can do 10. I mean, and on these, the hits are so big, you don't have to do a lot of hit. You make one hit, and if you can make, let's say you made $100,000 off your first deal. I mean, for somebody who has no money in the bank, that's a lot of cash. That's cash. That's not funny money. That's not illusory. It's real money. And then you can go out and you can buy. What I do is I buy 10 lots at a time. And I have the thing. My philosophy is fail your way to success, because out of the 10, maybe 1, 2, or 3 work, and 7 of them don't work. So you fail on 7, and you win on 3. But the 3, any one of the 3, makes you so much money. You could buy another 10 or 20 or 30 in the future. So that works out really, really well.
Let me ask you, Wayne, when you consider, when you're going to buy a lot like that, like Andrea now has to deal with, there's gas tanks underneath. So is she going to spend more than $50 to figure this out? So could it cost her $100,000? Could it cost her $400,000 to get that lot into the right place, into the right hands? Or can she turn around and resell that lot currently without doing anything and just saying, hey, I have this lot, it's available for 10 grand, and make 9,500, whatever? Could she do that?
Yes, you can. And that's the key to it, is that you don't fall. See, the first approach is the front door approach. You buy it and you dump all the money you can into it, and you lose your ass.
Right.
Okay. The second approach is, what's the smart way to do this thing? Okay. What if you never touch the tanks? What if you never touch the ground? What if you sell it to somebody who wants to do an electric vehicle charging station that's all wired above ground with these stands that just sit on top of the earth? They're not, installed in the ground, and you lease it out to them. You don't even have to sell it to them. You just lease it to them, and you can lease it to them. Like I had a cell tower guy come to me, and he said he'd give me $170,000, $250,000 for the lot. It was $100,000 to lease it, or he'd buy it from me for $250,000 without even touching the dirt. I mean, I don't have to touch the dirt. I just give it to him. But something along, it wouldn't work on this site, but something like that. The electrical vehicle thing, I like that one the best, because you can just wire everything on the surface. You just put these big kiosks, that are portable kiosks, and then that's one way. That's one way.
Right.
So I'll add to that. So one of the things that I realized that, so I had an attorney call me about the place, and he was all worried for me. And, and my philosophy is this, I'm just going to smile and be grateful about it and be excited about the learning experience. So his fear was like, and he said, oh, this is going to cost you $50,000 to $100,000 to fix, like automatically. And I'm like, well, possibly. And what other options are there? What is available to us? What can we learn? What's possible? In fact, I think I threw him for a loop when I said, well, geez, since I'm trying to figure out what other properties are available in my area? Because if I'm going to clean up one thing, maybe it's just maybe it's almost cheaper to clean up multiple areas. And he was like, what? You're thinking about buying more? And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Nobody wanted this one. Maybe there's other ones. And then by having them all, maybe, and then first of all, it's a help to the community. So I can't imagine that my community, I have to rewire my brain to think of the community has considered this a problem lot. That's why it went through the sale that it did. But I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a way for us to, how do we come together as a community to help clean up the slot? So I'm looking at different things, looking at different grants, looking at different options, looking at collaborations and partnerships. There's other things too. With just by talking to Wayne, then I came back to Wayne and said, Wayne, I was thinking maybe I can sell the airspace. And he's like, there you go. We have a new sign law in our town, so it may or may not work in that facility. But in other cities, that airspace above that, if you're putting up signage or a billboard, there's other things that could be done. There could be a food cart that comes in with its own generator and their own whatever. It could be a parking lot place. It could be, there's endless options. I could put Christmas trees on it, or whatever, So what is, and that's just a small thing. Obviously that's not, the $1 million, goal today, but over time, there's really cool possibilities.
Yeah, let me make a point on that. In the airspace in Manhattan, they actually sell airspace rights, and you can buy a little teeny piece of property and sell the airspace rights credit to some other building. You don't have to do anything with it. You just sell it to them, and it goes for a lot of money. It's just the airspace rights.
Because nobody wants to be blocked, right? They want that view.
No, what it does,
Manhattan anyway.
What airspace rights give you is the right to build a taller building.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you're in a, let's say you're in a zone that says a four-story zone, and you could build a 4-story building, and the building next to you, the guy wants to build next to you, but he wants to build an 8-story building. You can sell him your air rights. He can build an 8-story building on his building, and nobody could ever build on your lot. That's a big deal. It's not just, it's a big deal.
It is. So we have a question. How do we contact Wayne? It's pretty easy. It's right there. It's junklandintogold.com, right? That's the best way to reach you, Wayne?
Yeah, Junkland into Gold. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
So I do have another question, and Andrea suggested that I'm going to buy property a little differently now that I've met you. And I'm looking to buy property in Arizona, but I'm in New York. Does buying junk lots work out of your neighborhood, out of state, across the land?
Yeah. The techniques that I have are universal. They work everywhere, and they're dramatically good, and they function everywhere. It's beautiful because there's certain tricks to it. Like the one trick that you can use that really is most valuable is you buy from people called don't wanters. Everybody goes to the real estate brokers, they find me a piece of property. That's a wanter. They buy from people who want to sell their properties. They want the money for their properties. If you go in that front door, you get killed financially. Okay. But if you go to a don't wanter, let's say somebody just died, he gave the property to his kids. They hate their parents. They hate the property that's associated with the parents. You look this up on the tax rolls and you see the name that it's in an airship. And you contact these guys, they'll sell it to you for pennies on the dollar. Mm-hmm. And that's where you find it. And you can do that in any city, no matter where. You got to find the people who don't want it. And that's really a big part of my program is teaching people that part, because that's where you look. You don't look in the front door, you look in the back door.
We're not looking at obituaries, are we?
A what?
Obituaries.
Oh, no, not. You don't do obituaries. But that's not too far from, you actually can go to you look for airships. Actually, when you look at the tax list, it's real simple. You got a list of tax. If the name's in a trust, usually it's in the name of the estate of John Doe. is how it's listed. Because if it's in an estate, that means the guy died. It's right there on the tax list that you're looking at. You don't have to do any extra research. You go through the names. Oh, here's a guy. Or it's in the family trust. The property's owned by the family, ABC Family Trust or Tom Jones Family Trust. Then somebody. It's an heirship thing, and heirs hate each other. And they drive each other nuts. It's a beautiful way you approach the heirs. They love to get rid of their stuff. I bought houses, complete houses from heirs for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, wow. I bought 10 houses for $45,000 a piece here in Seattle. They were airship deals. I mean, just goofy. They just dump them. They don't care.
Sometimes they might do it to spite the sibling, right?
And themselves. They do it to spite their parents and themselves. Kids are, how they get weird with their family. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Yeah.
And some people, I want to bring this up because some people might see this as you're taking advantage of someone, and really it may appear that way, but often we're doing them a favor because the headache of going through it, what they consider as a headache, because if they're already traumatized by family history, or they hated where they lived, or they hated somebody in the family, that's just causing them to live in a trauma pattern. So the release of it will actually be healthier for the family and for their mental health and physical health in the long run by offsetting from this. And then by you doing the work and doing the follow through and the creativity and the research, then you benefit from that. And it's not saying that the chances are the other person just doesn't want to put the time, effort, or care into that. They just want to be released of the burden of what it is to them. So remember, somebody else's, trash being somebody else's treasure. That's the same thing here. Junk laying into gold is really that. It's junk to someone else because it's just something that they just don't want in their world, to the other situation where, they want to be free of what that is. So I want people to be very conscious of that. So Wayne's not saying go over and cut throat and rip people off. That's not his message today.
That's not his message at all.
And the obituaries looking to take over. And there's people who may think that way and behave that way, but that's not what Wayne suggests. Wayne, what I love about Wayne is he really just wants to leave this legacy of what he's doing. And now we get to see all about his living room because the camera's following him.
Wayne, I like your camera or your camera person because they're kind of following you.
It just follows you wherever you go.
Oh, man.
And then
he's time to zoom in a little bit on you. Zoom in. There you go. Say the word zoom. There you go. Perfect. So one of the things that, and you bring up a great point, is you can tell that Wayne is authentic in the way that he wants to deliver his content. He's not, and he said one important thing earlier. He goes, I want to leave young people with the knowledge that I have accumulated. And we need to remember that. And thank you, Wayne, for that, by the way. So, Wayne, I do have a very...
here, let me make one interjection on the one point I wanted to make is...
Get a little closer to the mic for us.
Yeah. I have an example of something where I found the perfect don't want her. Okay, about 5 months ago, I looked at the tax sale and I found this piece, and it was owned by the estate of whatever. And then it turns out the people who were the owners were out of state. So they owned, and it was a little piece of junk property in Issaquah, but it wasn't little. It's a half-acre flat lot, gorgeous with water, sewer, and power. I mean, a beautiful, and the lots in that area sell for $500,000 a piece. Okay, and so I called them up, and I said, "Are you going to let this go in the tax sale?" They said, "Yeah, we don't want it anymore." I said, "Why don't you want it?" He says, "Well, because it's got some problems with the title. We tried to sell it, and the city didn't want it, and they wanted to put a bike path there or something. And we're just going to let it go." And I said, "Well, if you can let it go, I'll give you $500 for it. You know, they go, oh, no, we can't do that. That's crazy. But if you make it 1,000, we'll do it. So they sold me this lot. It's a half-acre flat lot, gorgeous lot, right at the intersection, right off the freeway. It's in a high, it's right next to commercial, and it's the first real estate lot across the street. The value of that lot, if I can build on it, is $3 million. $3 million. And right now, it only has one problem, is I have to clear the title. That's another one of my tricks.
Right.
And I'm clearing title. It's going to cost me about $3,500 to $4,000 to clear the title, which it's just like an automatic. It's like a rubber stamp. You just file this thing in court, and they serve everybody, and the title clears, and then you get clear title. And at that point, I can subdivide the lot into 2 lots. So each lot is worth $500,000. That's $1 million. That's $1 million. Okay. That's if I do it bad. Okay. And then I can take each one of those 2 lots and put 3 townhomes on it. And each townhome lot is worth $500,000 also. Okay. So I can do $3 million off $1,000. Well, let's say I have to do a survey and this and that, probably about another 10. I probably have to put another 10, 15,000 in total and make $3 million.
That's incredible. But
and that's
you brought something up.
That's right now today. That's right now today, here in my backyard, going for don't wanters.
You did bring something up that I want to touch on, and you talked about clearing the title. What if you buy a lot, but there's a lot of people who have mortgaged on that, and now in order for it to be clear, you have to pay this one off, that one off, this one off. I've heard of that happening, where people bought something and they did not realize that the title had to be cleared by paying certain people off. How do you handle that?
Yeah, well, you must always get a title report on stuff you're going to get seriously involved with, and that'll tell you what's against it. And a lot of times they come up later. You don't even know it.
Right.
So, and that does happen. That happened to me on one of them. And when that comes up, if it's real garbage and people really don't want it, the people holding the mortgage on it, they don't want it either. Okay. If they don't want it, that's a golden opportunity for you to negotiate the mortgage. Right. So on the one I bought, the mortgage came up, it was $300,000. And I called the guy up and I said, hey, what do you want to do with this? So I offered him 10 cents on the dollar, and he took it. So I paid off the mortgage, a $300,000 mortgage for $30,000. And this was on a property I bought for, I bought a lot to build a 445 unit apartment complex on it. And I paid each owner $200.
Oh my goodness.
I paid each owner $200 because and it had a building on it. It had a 10,000 square foot warehouse building on it that the homeless guys had taken over and completely destroyed. Right. So the city was suing them because it's full of homeless people. They didn't want it. So for $1,000, I bought this property, and now I've got a lot of money into it, and I've got probably about maybe 150 or maybe about 200,000 into it. But I'm getting a building permit in 2 weeks to build a 45 unit apartment complex. The value of that is $13 million, once it's completed. But the land with the permit is worth at least $2 or $3 million.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question, and be honest. Why are you still doing this? You could be retired, you could be on a golf course, you could be in Aruba, you could be doing anything. What is the drive? I know it's not the money, because you've made the money. What's your drive? It's incredible.
That's a perfect question. People ask me that a lot. I love what I do. I love this. To me, this is so much fun. In fact, yesterday I was sitting there. God, I feel awful. I don't have a new real. I don't have a new gold nugget to chase. So I got the new list for the tax sale. This for 9 months from now. I started working the tax list last night, and I just because I love the chase, and there's always gold nuggets there. And then it's just not that it's a real. It's a creative challenge because it really makes you have to really be creative and kind of figure how in the world where's the back door? Where, how can you outsmart everybody else in the whole thing? And they'll look at that thing and they'll say that lot, I saw one in there was $1,700 in the tax sale. I looked up, that's a good lot. It's in downtown Seattle. It's square, buildable, it's flat. It's got to be worth at least, 70, 80,000 instantly if you just bought it, So there's my target. And so my blood's pumping. I'm excited. I'm ready to rock and roll. But there's a downside. The downside is I'm getting old now, and I'm starting to lose my capabilities and my energy. My energy is going down. And I know there's an end coming. And when the end comes, I don't want all this wonderful stuff I have in my brain to go with me. I want to be out there. I want young people to have it. I want them to have the same love and passion that I have. They want to go out there and do this stuff. I mean, be able to find a gold nugget right in your backyard.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Like Andrea, for $50, she found a gold nugget in her backyard. I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Mike Green is asking, how do you get a list? Do you have to go to the courts? Do you have to buy the list? Because I've had many times back in the day, people were trying to sell me a list. But then sometimes when you buy the list, it's a list that's no good anyway.
Yeah.
So how do you get a list that's good?
Yeah. No, it's you don't go through secondary people. You go right to the source. You go to the county, or parish, or whatever they call them over there. You go to the county, and they're county tax foreclosure sale lists. And you go to your county and you say, I want to see the county tax foreclosure list. And it's online. And there'll be usually an auction association associated with the county, because that's how they sell them. And you can contact them, and they have the list also. And they're more than happy to give it to you because they want you to buy the properties. And here they have the title reports listed with the auction companies. So you can actually look at the property and even look at the title report and see all the liens on it. If there's mortgages or whatever, you see it right up front, so you know what you're getting into. And also you can see if it's owned by the heirs. The titles show if it's owned by heirs, or or people you can see who, like they live in, who knows where, Timbuktu, and they own property here in Manhattan. Or whatever. It's if they're remote owners, they usually don't want the property.
Correct.
Typically.
So I did some research for you. If you saw me, I was like, this looks like I wasn't paying attention. I was listening, but I was looking for you. I figured that question would come up. So I looked in Manhattan, and they just had a sale. So you just missed the recent one. However, you can still review the properties that had liens on them and see where they're at. And then I looked in Arizona, and I think I forget the name of the township or the area there. So that sale right now is also closed, and I can't see the things that were on the preview. However, I was able to go into something else and see another business that had talked about other properties that may or may not have been on that list. So there's some online directories as well, but because things can change and move, the online stuff doesn't always catch up to what's happening actually at the office. So Wayne is definitely, I'm going to say I support what he's saying, because when you go there, and even the day of the sale, things could have changed, so then all of a sudden they don't list or offer whatever it is that you were going to consider buying or not buying. And then there's part of that too. When you go there, you need to be ready to pay for it. And so it's not only what you bid for, but there might be, title fees and sales tax fees, or whatever office fees. So so even though I only purchased those properties for $100 or $50 for those properties that day, I think I spent $550 in total, getting everything
In
legal.
order. Yeah.
So still
I
under
just
the
want to let
thousand that
everybody
Wayne
know,
suggested.
if you need to connect with Dr. Andrea, she's the redcarpetconnection.com. If you're interested in coming on the show, we definitely want to talk to you. So you want to go to this link right here that I'm sharing with you. Come to zcal.co, C for Raphael, /business. Come talk to us. Let's see if you can come on the show. I got to tell you, Wayne, you're an incredible human being. And the fact that you want to pass your knowledge down, right? And you say that you see an end coming. Yeah, I see it like 50 years from now, my friend. I think you look very vibrant. So keep going, right? Keep being hungry. Listen, I taught Tai Chi in the park, and my oldest member was 102. The beautiful thing about them, they were very inquisitive. At the end of class, they would come to me and ask me questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? So the inquisition, the desire to learn, to keep growing is there. And I see it in you too. So don't stop doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing things.
Don't stop believing.
Well, I want to thank you again, Wayne, for being here with us. This was an incredible show. Thank you, Dr. Andrea, for being my incredible co-host. I want to thank you guys. Remember, next week we're back with beautiful people. Mike, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you learned a lot. I learned a lot. I have taken notes. I have done things. Wayne, you and I, we're now friends. And by the way, I want to invite you, Wayne, and obviously Dr. Andrea, to my 100th birthday party. So you're going to have to be around for that, right? So we're going to have a blast. So I want you guys to come to my 100th birthday party.
Sounds great. I'll be there.
Perfect. All right, you
Sounds good.
guys, have yourself an exceptional rest of your day. Make today count. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.